Revealed, the touching moment when a billionaire's hidden pain transformed his life forever. Jack Reynolds stared out the window of his sleek high-rise office, the city lights glimmering like stars scattered across the asphalt jungle. To the world, he was a billionaire with the perfect life: a suite at the Four Seasons, a collection of luxury cars, and a portfolio that could make anyone envious. But beneath that polished veneer lay a soul ravaged by a haunting emptiness. The accolades he accumulated felt like hollow trophies, whispers of a life once lived in Maplewood, Ohio, where his parents sacrificed everything for his future. With every award, his heart sank further into a chasm of guilt. He remembered the family dinners gone by, the stories shared over hearty meals, the laughter that echoed in a modest home. Then came that fateful summer evening. His phone buzzed, jarring him from thoughts of lost time. The news was gut-wrenching: a monstrous tornado had ripped through Maplewood. An image flashed across the screen, his childhood home reduced to rubble. A wave of guilt washed over him, forcing him to confront the painful truth of his estrangement from the very roots that shaped him. Compelled by a sense of obligation, Jack found himself on a flight back to the community he had left behind. Nothing prepared him for the devastation that awaited him. As he stepped onto the cracked pavement, a haunting silence enveloped him. The laughter of children was replaced with soft cries of despair. Deeply troubled, he searched for something to hold onto amidst the wreckage. That's when he met Lisa, a courageous single mother determining to rebuild not just homes, but the spirit of hope. "Together, we can rise again," she said, her voice steady. In the chaos of makeshift shelters, her determination radiated like a beacon of light. Jack felt an undeniable connection to her resilience, a spark igniting long-suppressed emotions. They shared their stories: hers of struggling to make ends meet for her two little ones, and his of a life spent lost in ambition. Each conversation unveiled their painful scars, their laughter mingling with sorrow. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that is happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The longer Jack immersed himself in recovery efforts, the more he realized the stark economic inequalities starkly contrasted with his lavish lifestyle. Each ugly truth revealed the despair, the loss, the sacrifices ignited a fire in him. He knew he had to do more than just write checks to feel less guilty. But as he reached out to reconnect with his own estranged family, he was gripped by a chilling fear: would they ever forgive him? On a day filled with hope, he watched Lisa rallying the survivors, instilling strength and unity. It struck him with remarkable clarity: true wealth wasn't measured in dollars or prestige, it was in love, community, and connection. In that moment, Jack stood in the crowd, soaking in the warmth of real bonds, feeling alive for the first time in years. Just as he resolved to reach out to his past and seek forgiveness, a phone call interrupted his thoughts. His mother's trembling voice on the other end sent chills down his spine, revealing shocking news threatening to unravel everything he began to build. Jack stood at a crossroads, trapped between the life he had forged and the family he left behind. Would he embody the loyalty he preached, or would he retreat into the shell of success he had created? The storm within him was brewing as fiercely as the one outside, leaving him to grapple with the only question that mattered: could he truly embrace his past to pave a new future? Jack's heart raced as he listened to his mother's shaky voice. She told him about his younger brother, Ben. Their father had taken ill, facing a battle that no one expected. The news struck Jack like a lightning bolt, illuminating the shadowy corners of his heart. Guilt wrapped around him, tightening its grip with every word. How had he let things get so far? Why had he stayed away for so long? He quickly promised to come home. As he hung up, the air felt heavy with unspoken fears. Would they welcome him? Would Ben even want to see him? Jack felt the weight of his past pressing on him, making it difficult to breathe. He took a moment to compose himself, glancing out at the rebuilding efforts in Maplewood, people uniting, hearts mending. It reminded him that hope was possible. Before Jack could catch his breath, Lisa appeared beside him, an eyebrow raised in quiet concern. "You okay?" she asked gently. He forced a smile, but deep down he was a storm of emotions. "I have to go back to see my family." She nodded slowly, understanding. "That's a good thing. You can't run from your past forever. It's time to face it." Her words lingered in his mind as he packed up his things. There was something empowering in her encouragement, a reminder that he was harder than he thought. He was ready to confront his demons, to reclaim the man he was. The flight back felt surreal. Everything he once called home felt like a distant memory, yet the pangs of nostalgia washed over him. He could picture the worn-out porch swing at his family's old house, the way sunset light kissed the yard, the laughter during game nights. These moments propelled him forward, igniting a flicker of hope. As the plane descended, anxiety churned in his stomach. He hadn't been home in nearly 5 years. His family had always felt whole without him. What kind of twisted reunion awaited him? The covers of success had kept him warm, but they were ragged and torn now. When he stepped off the plane, the Michigan air hit him like a cold slap. He took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of home grassy fields, a hint of rain, and the intoxicating familiarity of his roots. Each step toward his childhood home weighed heavy. As he turned the corner onto his old street, memories surged: his mother's rust-colored roses blooming by the porch, the cracked sidewalk where he and Ben had spent countless hours playing catch. But that comfort quickly faded when he saw his childhood home. It was clear the tornado's fury had spared this little patch of earth. The house remained sturdy, but the yard was a tangle of weeds. He hesitated at the gate, his heart pounding loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "Remember, Jack, this is the moment you face your truth." With a deep breath, he walked towards the front door, raising his hand to knock. But just as he lifted it, the door swung open, revealing his mother's tear-streaked face. She looked older, more fragile than he remembered, and for a split second, he doubted everything. But those doubts shattered when she whispered his name, a mixture of relief and sorrow in those 2 syllables. Jack, his heart broke open, urgency washing over him. What had he done? Would he find forgiveness, or face the fury of a family that had suffered without him? Behind her stood Ben, confusion and anger flickering in his eyes. Jack stepped inside, realizing this moment might not just change him, but redefine every relationship in his life. They stood frozen in a shared silence, suspended in pain and love. Jack braced himself, the air thick with unresolved history. As he stepped further into the hallway, a question echoed in his mind: could he truly mend the pieces of this fractured home? Just then, a distant thunderstorm approached, mirroring the tumult in his heart, leaving Jack unsure of whether the fierce winds outside or the chaos within threatened to blow them apart. Jack felt the weight of the world pressing down on him as he stepped inside the house. The familiar scent of home wrapped around him, stirring a rush of memories that both comforted and haunted him. His mother, still standing at the threshold, reached out, trembling slightly. Her fingers brushed against his arm, silently urging him forward. "Come in, sweetheart," she whispered, her voice breaking. He walked inside, the walls echoing with silence that felt heavy enough to crush him. The living room looked just as he remembered, yet the couch seemed worn and threads of life seemed frayed. A family portrait hung crooked on the wall, capturing a happier time, before the distance between them had grown to an unbearable chasm. "Mom," he began, but the words faltered. How did one even start to explain years of absence? Before he could gather his thoughts, Ben's voice sliced through the stillness, ringing with a mixture of disbelief and resentment. "Why are you here, Jack?" Ben stood just behind their mother, arms crossed tightly over his chest. The boy he once knew had transformed into a guarded stranger, and Jack felt the sting of that reality. "I came because I heard about Dad," Jack replied, struggling to find the right words. "I wanted to see you guys. I wanted to help." Ben's eyes flashed with anger, vulnerability washing over his face. Help? Is that what you call it? You've been gone for years, and now you just swoop back in? Jack felt the pulse of guilt echo in his veins. He had no good defense, no justification. I know I messed up, Ben. I didn't want to leave. I was scared. For 5 years? Ben shot back. You didn't think we could use you around? We could used you a long time ago. Their mother's thin voice interjected softly, boys, please. A pleading look flashed between her eyes, aching to unify them even as the storm raged just outside. Jack reached out, feeling the pull of instinct to comfort his brother. I'm here now. Seriously, I want to help. I'm not going anywhere this time. But as Jack looked into Ben's eyes, he realized it wouldn't be that simple. The years had built a wall between them, a fortress that Jack had unwittingly allowed to rise. He could feel every brick. Dad's in rough shape, Ben finally said, lowering his voice. We don't have much time left. The weight of his words crashed into Jack, grounding him in the reality of their situation. I know, Jack replied, his voice choking. But I'm here to do whatever it takes. I want to be part of this family again. Ben's expression softened for just a moment, doubt wrestling with longing. It's not that easy, he whispered. Nothing worth having ever is, Jack responded, finally feeling his own voice gaining strength. The thunder outside rumbled, vibrating through the walls like their turbulent hearts, but within Jack, a flicker of hope ignited. It's going to take time, their mother said, easing into the moment, but we'll figure it out together. We always have. Jack took a deep breath, drawing in the raw emotion swirling around them. A fragile connection had begun to dawn amidst the chaos, a small ember beneath the rubble of hurt and anger. Just then, a loud crash of thunder echoed outside, rattling the windows and sending Jack's heart racing once again. He realized the storm mirrored the turmoil surrounding them, but if they could weather this, perhaps they could find a way to heal as well. Ben's voice wavered again, and Jack turned to him. What if we can't fix things? Jack's stomach twisted. Was it possible? Could they really reclaim what had been lost? Then we'll start with one small thing, he promised. We start being honest with each other. The moment stretched, thick with uncertainty. Jack reached for Ben, hoping to bridge the gap of silence that had grown far too wide. So, what do you say? Can we give it a shot? For Dad? Ben looked conflicted, wrestling with emotions swirling beyond words. Finally, he took a tentative step forward, and a doorway into the past cracked open, leaving Jack's heart pounding with anticipation. Just as hope flickered to life, the wind surged. Outside, rattling the house and reminding them all of the storm still looming ahead. What awaited them? Jack knew that their next step might lead to the deepest revelations yet. Ben shifted uncomfortably, a mixture of apprehension and longing flickering across his face. What do you want me to say, Jack? His voice was barely above a whisper, as if speaking louder might shatter the delicate thread they were trying to weave back together. Jack took a deep breath, the air saturated with the scent of damp wood and something unspoken lingering between them. I want you to understand that I'm really here now. This what we've gone through this isn't easy for any of us, but I need you to know, I'm trying. Please, let us just start small. The storm outside raged, an ominous reminder of the turbulence they had faced, but Jack felt a glimmer of tranquility in his brother's presence. Ben glanced toward their mother, her eyes glistening like the rain streaking down the windows. She looked so small, her shoulders hunched under the weight of their shared pain. Mom needs us both, Ben said finally, his tone softening as the storm outside seemed to echo the flicker of hope inside. But I don't know if trying is enough. I get that, Jack replied, a tinge of sorrow creeping into his words. It's been so long that I don't expect everything to be okay overnight. I just wish we would had these conversations years ago. Jack could see that Ben was considering the possibility. You want to fix things? We'll start with Dad. He needs us now more than ever. Agreed, Jack said, relief flooding through him. What can we do? I don't know. Ben's brow furrowed, frustration seeping back into his expression. He likes to keep to himself. You know how he is, but maybe we can reach him somehow. The thought of his father sent a chill down Jack's spine. He could remember laughing with him in this very house, but those memories felt like a lifetime ago, buried beneath layers of regret. We have to try. Together. Together, Ben echoed, and they shared a hesitant glance that spoke louder than words. Their mother stepped forward, an air of resilience enveloping her. I think he'd appreciate having both of you around, even if it's just a talk, she suggested, her voice steadying. He doesn't often show it, but he misses you both. A silence settled among them, broken only by the rumble of thunder in the distance. It reminded Jack of the turbulence they were all feeling, but this time it seemed to rally them together rather than tear them apart. Jack took a step back, a wave of determination washing over him. Let us do this. For him, for us. We can be his strength. As the storm began to subside, the tension in the room started to ease. Jack could feel the flicker of hope growing stronger. They could face this. But in the back of his mind, a nagging question lingered. Was their father really beyond reach? What if this time was different? As much as Jack wanted desperately to lead them down a path of healing, uncertainty clouded his heart. Then let us go check on him, Ben said, a new determination radiating from him. And let us find out if we can make him listen. As the brothers slowly trudged toward the stairs, Jack felt the knot of fear tighten in his chest anew. What awaited them at the top? Would they still be able to grasp at hope, or would the storm of their past pull them under once more? Jack took a deep breath, summoning every ounce of courage. Let us go. But as they approached their father's room, a feeling crawled under Jack's skin. What if they weren't ready for the truths that awaited them on the other side of that door? Would the pain only deepen? With each step, he held on to the fragile thread of possibility, knowing the next moment might change everything. As Ben reached for the doorknob, Jack's heart raced. What would they find? As Ben turned the doorknob, a hesitant creak echoed through the hallway, blending with the fading sounds of thunder outside. Jack's heart pounded in his ears, each beat signaling his nerves. They were standing on the brink of something significant, and yet the fear of what lay beyond the door gripped him tightly. With a soft click, the door swung open, revealing their father's dimly lit room. Shadows danced around the edges, but the outline of the man they both knew too well was unmistakable. He sat on the edge of the bed, shoulders hunched and gaze lost somewhere beyond the confines of this small space. The weight of years past hung heavily in the air. Dad? Ben's voice broke the silence, gentle yet firm. Jack felt the tension thicken as their father's head slowly turned. The flicker of recognition sparked in his eyes, but it was accompanied by an almost palpable sense of isolation. Why are you both here? Their father asked, his tone flat but laced with an undercurrent of confusion. It was as if he couldn't grasp why his sons were standing before him after all that had passed. Because we want to talk, Jack said, stepping into the room determined, even when his insides felt like jelly. We want to be here for you. His voice remained steady, though he could feel the swell of emotions threatening to overflow. Their father looked from Ben to Jack, uncertainty etched on his features. It reminded Jack painfully of the man he had once adored, a father who used to lift them in the air, laugh at their silly antics, delight in their victories. But that man felt like a ghost now, overshadowed by grief and shadows. Talk? Their father echoed. About what? There's nothing to talk about. I've lost everything. His voice was thick with sorrow, and the depth of his pain seeped into Jack's bones. But we're still here, Ben interjected, stepping closer with an intensity that Jack admired. We haven't given up on you. Not now. Not ever. Their father looked down, his hands clasped as if holding back a tide of emotions. Jack could see his knuckles whiten. It hit him his father was fighting a battle of his own, one that had kept him from the family that surrounded him. "Dad, we know you're hurting," Jack said, gently easing his way into the rawness of the moment. "But shutting us out won't bring them back. We're not trying to replace anyone. We want to help you heal, as a family." The air felt charged, each brother standing like a lighthouse in the storm. They were here, anchoring each other against the waves of despair that had threatened to capsize their lives. For a long moment, their father's face soured, suffocated by regret. Jack watched helplessly, wanting to reach out, to let the man he once admired feel the warmth of connection again. With bated breath, he waited for a sign, a glimmer of acceptance. "I don't know how to do this," their father finally murmured, voice breaking. "I've pushed everyone away for so long that I don't know how to stop." "Then let us show you," Ben whispered, his resolve unwavering. "We're willing to be here, to walk through this pain with you. But you have to let us in." Jack's heart swelled, torn between hope and dread. Could they truly help him? Could this be the moment they turn things around? The room felt alive off the echoes of their desires, yet above it all hung the ever-present shadow of doubt. Just as their father's gaze flickered up, an unexpected knock resounded from the hallway. All three jumped, surprise etched across their faces. Who else could it be? Was it another storm brewing just outside this moment they were trying to seize? "Who?" Jack muttered, raising an eyebrow. There'd be more revelations, and he could sense that whatever awaited them outside this fragile space might just lead them closer to the truth they so desperately needed. As the door creaked open wider, the uncertainty reared its head again. It was about to get even more complicated, and Jack braced himself for whatever would come next. What would be revealed to them now? As the door swung open, a woman stood there, soaking in the dim light of the room. She looked weathered yet resilient, her presence carrying an air of cautious determination. Jack's breath caught in his throat. It was Lisa, their mother, a figure they had long wondered about but hadn't seen since the funeral. She looked different, lined with the echoes of the past, yet somehow familiar. "Mom?" Ben's voice cracked with disbelief. It felt like a gust of wind had hit the room, jarring the stillness and stirring emotions all at once. Their father stared, mouth slightly open, frozen by surprise. The tension in the air shifted into a swirling storm of feelings: hope, dread, confusion, all tangled together. Jack's heart raced as he took in the scene. Would this bring them closer or drive them further apart? "Why are you here?" Their father finally managed, his voice barely above a whisper. The pain that had overshadowed his features morphed into something more complex, fear mingled with anticipation. "Because I heard," she began, taking a cautious step into the room. "I heard about how you've been struggling. And I thought, maybe it's time we all faced this together." Jack could hardly believe she was standing before them, the woman who had become a shadow in their memories. He shifted his gaze between his father and Lisa, uncertainty crossing both their faces. The reunion was electric, charged with unresolved issues, heartache, and a craving for healing. Ben stepped forward, a mix of protectiveness and longing in his expression. "Mom, you left us. You left him." After everything, his voice tapered off. The unspoken emotions hung thick in the air, like a storm cloud waiting to burst. "I know," she said, her eyes dark with regret. "And I'm sorry. I didn't know how to stay when everything fell apart. But that doesn't mean I don't care." She glanced at their father, who still seemed lost, his emotions a raw wound laid bare. "I came back because I want to be here for both of you and for him." Jack felt overwhelmed, the room spinning with all that was happening. He could see Ben's anger simmering just beneath the surface, but it was mixed with a flicker of hope, a hope that maybe, just maybe, they could truly become a family again. Was it possible? "Do you really think you can just stroll back into our lives after so long and everything will be okay?" Ben challenged, his voice defiant yet laced with desperation. "What do you even want from us?" "I want to help," Lisa replied softly, her voice trembling slightly. I want to heal, just as much as all of you do. But I know I can't just expect forgiveness. I'll fight for it, if you'll let me. As the silence settled, Jack felt an urgency to break through the tension. We're all hurting, he spoke, his voice gathering strength. You may not have been around, but we still want to understand. We still want to try. He glanced at his father, seeing the flicker of a tumultuous bond, hope rekindling among the ashes. Jack's heart raced with the potential of this moment. Could they create a new story together, heal these wounds, and face the future as a family again? Their father finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. You're right. We've all lost so much. But it can't be one-sided, Lisa. It needs to be all of us, together. With those words, the spectral distance seemed to close in, leaving the air taut with possibility. But Jack felt a tremor of uncertainty. Breaking the chains of hurt would take more than just a reunion, it would require everything they had. Just as he opened his mouth to push further, another knock echoed from the hallway. The sound pierced through the charged atmosphere, a reminder that outside this fragile moment, more chaos awaited. What lay behind that door? Would it bring them even closer together, or unravel the delicate threads of their renewed connection? The knock hung in the air like an unwanted question, ripping through the fragile moment they had just begun to piece together. Jack felt his heart thud loudly in his chest, a frantic rhythm mirroring the chaos in his mind. Lisa stood frozen, her expression a mix of vulnerability and dread. Would this knock reveal more truths, or would it push them back into the shadows? Is anyone going to open it? Ben's impatience sliced through the tension, sending an echo of uncertainty around the room. Jack, caught between fear and curiosity, moved toward the door. He hesitated, glancing back at his mother and father, who watched him with bated breath. Don't overthink it, Lisa whispered, her voice soft but urgent. Taking a deep breath, he gripped the handle and swung the door open. His breath caught again, this time for a different reason. Standing on the threshold was a young woman, her face pale, eyes wide with fear and worry. It took Jack a moment to recognize her, Mia, their old neighbor, clutching her phone like a lifeline. Mia? What's wrong? He asked, noticing the urgency etched on her face. They the police, she stammered, her words tumbling over each other. There's been an accident. It's about someone, from the neighborhood. You need to come with me. The ground beneath Jack felt unstable. The sudden shift in the atmosphere was like an ice-cold plunge. He glanced back at his family, the worry in their eyes mirrored his own. Who? Ben asked, stepping forward, his expression hardening. Who is it? The Rileys. It's about Ethan, Mia managed to say, her words cutting the air like sharp glass. Jack's heart sank. Ethan had been their childhood friend, a bright spark of energy in their lives. Memories of laughter and mischief flooded back, stark against the dread creeping into the reality of the moment. The past felt like a heavy cloak, smothering him before he even had a chance to react. Lisa stepped closer, her expression shifting. What do you mean, Mia? Is he? The unspoken fear hung heavy in the room. They were driving home from the game. There was a crash. I don't know if he's okay, Mia said, her voice trembling. Jack felt the world tilt. Thoughts of repairing his broken family evaporated, replaced by an urgent need to know if Ethan was all right. The electric charge of the previous conversation, the chance for healing, was swallowed in an instant by a different kind of fear. Let us go, he said, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling inside him. We need to know. As they moved to follow Mia into the uncertain night, Jack caught a glimpse of his father's face, a painful synthesis of grief and fear. He was reminded that tragedies don't follow a script, they unravel everything that barely held together. With every step towards the door, Jack felt the weight of each unresolved issue behind him. Their fractured family was about to face its first real test. Would they unite or crumble under the strain? They moved together, propelled by the urgency of the moment, leaving behind the fragile threads of connection they had just begun to weave. What if this tragedy drove them further apart? Jack's heart raced. Would they still have a chance to talk, to heal? As they stepped into the night, the air around them crackled with the unknown, the looming question echoing in their minds: would this crisis pull them together or tear them apart forever? The car ride was tense. Jack sat in the back seat, his gaze fixed on the blur of streetlights as they sped past. He could feel the heaviness in the air, the silence filled with unspoken fears and worries. Mia was at the wheel, her knuckles white as she gripped the steering wheel, while Ben sat in the passenger seat next to her, his jaw set tight. Lisa, beside Jack, kept her eyes down, her worry palpable. "Do you think Ethan's okay?" Ben broke the silence, his voice barely above a whisper. Jack couldn't answer. The thought of losing Ethan felt like a rock dropped into his stomach. They had so many plans left unmade, so many stories yet to unfold. "I hope he's just hurt and not, Jack said, his heart pounding. "We need to stay positive." "Yeah," Lisa replied softly. But her voice lacked conviction, and Jack could see the fear mirrored in her eyes. The scene outside shifted, becoming less familiar as they entered the hospital district. The fluorescent lights cast a harsh glow, illuminating the anxiety threading through their small group. As they parked, Mia threw the car into gear and quickly shut off the engine. "Come on," she urged, leaping out of the car without waiting for them. Jack exchanged a worried glance with Lisa, then stepped out into the brisk night air. The hospital loomed before them, a massive concrete structure pulsating with life despite the overwhelming tension. He could hear the distant sound of a siren, its wail slicing through the night. They hurried inside, and the antiseptic smell hit him like a wave. Panic fluttered in his chest, urging him to move, to find out if Ethan was all right. As they approached the reception desk, Jack felt time stretching, the seconds dragging painfully. "Ethan Riley?" Mia asked, leaning over the counter, urgency etched on her face. The nurse looked up, her expression shifting as she typed into the computer. "Are you family?" "No, but we're friends." "We need to know what happened," Mia replied, her voice trembling. Jack leaned in, desperation pooling in his gut. "Please. It's important." The nurse sighed, glancing back at something behind her. "He was brought in after a car accident. That's all I can share unless you're family." Jack could feel the world closing in. Family? What did that even mean right now? He wanted to scream, to shout that they were all family, that he and Ethan had grown up like brothers, that their friendship was as tight as blood. "Can we see him?" Ben asked, a sudden fire sparking in his eyes. "I'll make a call," the nurse sighed, uncertain. They stood there, waiting as if the walls themselves were closing in. Jack's pulse thundered in his ears. The sounds around him blended into a single, chaotic hum. Thoughts raced as he fought against the sliding door of reality. The possibility that Ethan might not pull through weighed heavily on his heart. Minutes felt like hours, but finally, the nurse returned with a nod. "You can see him, but only for a few minutes. Follow me." As they began to walk down the stark, white hall, Jack clung to Lisa's hand, hoping for strength. His mind reeled with the thought of Ethan, and all the unsaid words they both needed to share. But what would he even say? How different their lives might be after tonight. They entered a small room, and Jack froze. There was Ethan, his body fragile and wrapped in the harshness of hospital sheets. Machines beeped rhythmically, a soft reminder of life amidst the chaos. Just seeing him like that struck Jack hard in the chest. But as he stepped forward, something stirred deep within him, a powerful emotion, a mixture of fear and determination. Could this be the moment when everything changed for their family? Would this tragedy open doors to vulnerability and connection? As Jack reached out to touch Ethan's hand, uncertainty filled the room. Would this moment lead to healing, or would it amplify the fractures between them all? As the tension in the room swelled, a new question rose: what was waiting for them on the other side of this night? Jack stood over Ethan, his heart racing as he took in the sight of his friend. There was something surreal about this moment, the beeping machines, the sterile air, and the pale face of the person who meant so much to him. He hesitated for a moment, searching for the right words, something meaningful enough to bridge the terrifying silence that hung between them. "Ethan," Jack finally whispered, squeezing his friend's hand gently. The warmth felt reassuring, grounding him in the chaos of emotions swirling around them. The others clustered close, their presence a silent testament to their bonds. Mia stood at the foot of the bed, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Lisa squeezed Jack's arm, her grip tightening as if steadying themselves for the storm that was about to break, seconds stretched into eternity. Jack's voice caught in his throat, wrestling with the heaviness of regret and fear. "We were here for you. You're not alone." His words felt flimsy, like paper in a rainstorm, but they were all he had. There was a slight flutter of Ethan's eyelids. Jack's breath caught, hope rearing its head amidst the despair. "You need to wake up, buddy. We have so much to talk about. Remember that fishing trip we planned? The one where we were going to catch the big one?" He chuckled softly, but the sound was laced with anxiety. "Talking to him won't change anything, Jack," Ben interjected, his voice low, sharp with edge. "He needs us to be strong, not to break down now." There was an intensity in Ben's eyes that made Jack want to shove his emotions down, to be that pillar of strength. But how could he, standing on the precipice of losing the one person who mattered most? "I can't help it," Jack shot back, unable to mask the tremor in his voice. "This isn't just about being strong. It's about being real." Mia wiped her eyes and stepped toward Ethan, her voice breaking. "You don't know how much we love you, Ethan. You've changed our lives. Just come back to us." The air crackled with electricity, the tension thickening. Jack could feel the energy shift. A flicker of movement caught his eye, Ethan's fingers twitched ever so slightly. "Did you see that?" Mia gasped, a glimmer of hope igniting in her eyes. "He can hear us." With fervor, Jack squeezed Ethan's hand once more. "Please, just hold on a little longer. You have to fight, Ethan. You can do this." The machines around them beeped in steady rhythm, almost mirroring the thudding of Jack's heart. Time seemed to stutter, holding its breath in anticipation. Each second felt both eternal and fleeting. Would this just be another farewell? Or was it a chance, an opportunity for healing, for connections long neglected? The weight of unspoken words stood between them like an invisible wall. Just as despair nudged at the edges of the room, a sudden loud chime made them all jump. Jack turned towards the door to see a doctor stepping in, her expression serious but focused. "I need to speak with you," she said, glancing past them, her eyes landing on Ethan. "It's about his condition." Jack's heart thrummed violently in his chest. What did that mean? A rush of adrenaline made him feel alive and terrified at the same time. They weren't prepared for any more bad news. "Wait," he interjected, fear lacing his words. "Is he?" The doctor raised a hand, halting the barrage of questions. "Let us talk in private. It's best you know in depth." Jack's mouth went dry. The uncertainty gnawed at him. What would they learn? And what would it change for Ethan, for each of them? Glancing back at Ethan, Jack searched for signs of comfort in the unsettling reality. This was just the beginning of a conversation far deeper than any of them could imagine. As the doctor led them away, a new dread settled in the pit of his stomach. What truths would emerge as the night unfolded? And how would they reshape the fragile fabric of their lives forever? The doctor led them into a small, quiet room, the chatter of the hospital fading into an unsettling silence. Jack's mind raced, each tick of the clock pounding away at his hope. Lisa squeezed his arm, her warmth a tether to the present moment amidst a swirling storm of anxiety. "Please, just tell us what is going on with Ethan," Mia pleaded, her voice trembling yet firm. The doctor took a breath, eyes scanning the somber faces. "Ethan is stable, but he sustained serious injuries. He's in a critical state, and we need to monitor him closely. This is going to be a long recovery, she explained softly but clinically. The relief that washed over them was darkened by the weight of long recovery. Jack felt the air shift, a mix of gratitude and dread settling in the pit of his stomach. "Can he hear us?" he managed to ask, holding on to the flicker of hope that had kindled in the room before. "It's hard to say. It's best to talk to him as if he can. You may not see immediate responses, but having you here matters." With that, the doctor squeezed each of their shoulders lightly in unspoken reassurance before she left them with the opportunity to say whatever they needed to share. The tension grew as they stepped back into Ethan's room. Jack approached his friend's bedside once more, the steady beeping of the monitor contrasting the cacophony of emotions inside him. "Hey, buddy," he began, mustering a smile he didn't fully feel. "It's Jack. I'm here. We're all here." Ben crossed his arms beside him, still wrestling with anger, while Lisa lingered, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Ethan, you don't know how much we need you right now," Ben's voice came out gruff but low, filled with longing. Jack could feel the healing cradled in those words despite the hurt that lingered between them. "Remember the fishing trip we always talked about? We were going to catch the biggest bass out there. You have to come back so we can finally do that," Jack continued. "I miss you. We all miss you." Mia stepped closer, leaning toward Ethan with teary eyes. "Please come back to us. You don't know how much you mean to all of us. Your laughter, your spirit, we need you." As Jack stood beside them, he felt the fracture of his family starting to mend. Just like that, they were all on the same side together in the face of uncertainty, clinging to the hope of a friend who needed them. Minutes slipped by, filled with the weight of unspoken fears and things left unsaid. The gravity of the moment poured over them, reminding Jack of everything he wanted to rebuild, not just with Ethan, but with Ben and their father. A few quiet moments turned into an eternity when suddenly, Ethan's eyelids flickered again. Jack's breath caught. "Please fight," he whispered, his heart racing with urgency. They all leaned closer, as if their combined strength might reach him. Beneath the beeps and hums of machinery, something shifted between them, a shared commitment to create more than what they had lost. Just then, a slight squeeze radiated back from Ethan's fingers, barely perceptible but echoing like a resounding cheer in the stillness. A gasp escaped Mia. "Did you feel that? He's fighting. He can hear us." Hope surged through the room like a tidal wave. Jack's heart thundered louder. In that moment, he understood this was not just about Ethan, it was a promise for them all. Across the room, Ben exchanged a glance with Jack, their earlier conflict fading into the background. "We can't stop trying, right?" Ben said, uncertainty hanging in his tone but a willingness to move forward gleaming in his eyes. "No," Jack replied firmly. "We have to keep showing up." Suddenly, the door creaked open again, this time revealing their father, who stepped hesitantly inside. His eyes were red-rimmed from the weight of grief, but there was a flicker of determination behind them. "What's happening?" His voice was low. Mia stepped aside, her fear replaced with purpose. "He's responding, even just a little. We need everyone here for him." Jack felt a surge of electricity course through him. "Dad, it's time for all of us to fight. Together. This is our chance to heal." Their father looked at each of them, his breath steadying as he approached Ethan's bedside. "I'm here, son. We'll do this together. I miss you and need you back. I want to make things right." The atmosphere shifted, heavy with the promise of healing. In that shared moment, the distance that had grown between their family felt collapsible. The storm might threaten their ties, but together, they could create a shelter from the fallout. Jack's heart surged with a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they all leaned in closer to Ethan, a family committed to the fight ahead. As they joined forces at Ethan's side, Jack realized that this was not just about recovery, it was about hope, connection, and the immeasurable strength of standing together in love and vulnerability. They would rise from this, together, and with that conviction, Jack took a deep breath, knowing the journey was just beginning. If you found strength in this story, it's time to connect with us. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support the journey we're all a part of. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending because your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation because true fans understand how critical it is to support our community.